a lot of these issues would be eliminated. You'd get early feedback from them. One business lead told me before in a project, when I was explaining how we have a lot of struggles getting the right business leads to lead projects, he said, well, Sally, I think that if the business lead doesn't care, no one else should. I'm like, wow, that's a great quote. I'm about to put that there. If the business lead who requested this project, who fought for it, who went and got funding for it, doesn't care, why should anyone else? Remember that house scenario that I was telling you about? Right, you guys are building a house for me. You're my builders, right? You're all with the team. Who do you think is the business lead? If you guys are building a custom home for me, first I need a general contractor. So you're going to be my general contractor. This is your entire team. Who do you think is the business lead? Who gets final say on what they want?
The owner.
The homeowner. I am. I also have a husband. I have a mother-in-law. I have kids. Do you think I should take care of coordinating our decisions on what should happen? What about if I would stop in one day and let you know what I want in the bedroom, mother-in-law would stop in the next day and talk to you about her priority in the basement, because that's where she gets her little area. Daughter would stop by and let you know about the play area. How would that feel? Wouldn't that be really confusing? Okay, so then it's my role as the business lead, as the homeowner, to coordinate what everybody wants and just give the team stability so they can move forward. All right, so let's come back to reality. Oh, Sally's just talking about wishful thinking. Let's come back to reality. So in reality, we have a lot of proxies. We can never get, for whatever reason, because I haven't talked to them yet, your business leads, we can never get them to actually engage on the project, and so they keep sending us proxies. You have to know that the further away you are as a business analyst from getting your requirements from the real business users or from the real stakeholders, the more proxies they put in front of you, 100% guaranteed you will have more bugs in the system. Why is that? Somebody give me an explanation for why not having the real stakeholder, the real end user, will immediately and 100% result in more bugs. Misinterpretation is the post office syndrome. Yeah, what else? They're not the user. All you are doing, and anybody else is doing, is trying to assume and think in their own mind to figure out how they would actually play with the system, right? You're making a guess. It could be a pretty well-educated guess if you happen to be a user before. I've seen people that will say, well, I'm a BA and I used to be a user, and so therefore I really know how to provide requirements very well. What do you think is the risk of you as a business analyst, because this happens to you sometimes, you have no business engagement whatsoever, so you become the business lead. You start providing requirements on behalf of other users. Where's the problem there? Why not? Why can't we just do that? Any risk factor at all? Do you guys? The further away you are from the real user, the more bugs issues that you will have guaranteed. And you will be further away from the priorities. You will not know what is the most important, because at that point you're just estimating and guessing. So we have to just understand this and understand the risk factor that comes along with it. So who are these stakeholders? Well, it's an individual, group, or institution who has a vested interest in the project, or who potentially will be affected by the project. So we always tend to sometimes do this. We'll try to find the actual users of the system, but we'll forget to ask the questions about who else is impacted, who are the other business areas. Hey, I wonder if sales and marketing would have anything to say about this new project in terms of where it should go in the future, right? They're the ones doing a lot of research about where the company should be moving towards, what features should be there, right? And if you're not even asking them for any input when you're modifying a product, then you're also forgetting about one stakeholder that could be really important. So stakeholders, don't think about them as just, well, you're going to be using the system, so I just need to talk to you and your manager, and then that's it, that's my list. If I can just get the requirements. You know, sometimes we do this, I'll tell you why we do it, why we just try to minimize the number of stakeholders, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. When you identify all the right stakeholders to really coordinate, to get them to engage, to get their requirements, to resolve the conflict between them, to get them to buy in, it's not a simple task. And yeah, we can just always say, you know what, I'll just get the real users just to give me some requirements, or whoever wants to represent a big group, I'll just go with them. That's great, it makes my life easier. But it's not the right thing to do for your final business lead. Okay? I'm not saying you gotta go get 20 people involved. But I'm saying you really do need to identify the critical people that you have to have. So again, what do you think are the advantages? Why should we do this? Why should we try to go find who are the stakeholders, who are the users, and try to find that at the visioning part of the project? What's the benefit, if any? A clear path. So a more clear definition of the requirements, okay? What else? Their buy-in. Have you guys ever released software that did not get used? Do you know how wasteful that is? Can you guys imagine? Do you know how long it takes for a department, an IT department with all the developers to work and produce software, and at the end of the day, it does not get used? Don't you think there's a problem with buy-in there? Maybe they didn't even request this. Maybe it was on their initial, I'm just going to do a brain dump for you list, right? But we never engaged and got feedback, and so what we're finally working on is not really what they want. That's huge waste. Very, very huge waste. What else? So buy-in, absolutely critical. What else? What else do you really need to find those stakeholders?
Less iterations later.
Less iterations later. Less problems later, right? I have actually found that the more engaged I can make my product owners and my business leads, it's really interesting. A lot of people think, oh, but they're going to change their requirements like crazy, and they're going to, they're going to give me way too much, and I won't be able to handle all the changes. I guarantee you, and we've done this on so many projects, they actually learn to prioritize better. I end up always getting the team to work on what's really valuable. And when the timeline is done, we actually have something to release. I find that we actually had 20, 30 different things that were on the backlog that didn't need to get done because they prioritized them out of the way. They said, I don't really need that anymore. You actually, and this is really interesting, the way we've programmed ourselves in requirements gathering is we ask our business users to do a brain dump. We tell them, give me everything you ever thought you may want. Put it here and sign off on it. Do you guys do that at all? Get them to sign off on requirements at the very beginning? What does signing off mean? Why are you doing that? What are you trying to hold them accountable for? Accuracy? Completeness? Scope, right? Basically that they won't change their mind. Raise your hand if you had a project where requirements didn't change, please. I would like to see you. I want to see you. Change of business requirements is the norm, not the exception. That is what will happen. Getting them to sign off on anything at the beginning to say that they will not change their mind is very unrealistic, and it's a very unflexible process. I know we do it for comfort because we're providing estimates based on that. I understand. I'm just telling you, a process that is not open for changing of business needs and reprioritization is very inflexible and produces a lot of waste. Because I guarantee you, when they did the brain dump, there's 20, 40 things in there that they really don't need. They just did a brain dump like you told them to. And so you're working on stuff that's not valuable. That's why when you finally produce the software, they don't use it. Because they just gave you everything that they want. Whether they actually really need it or not is a different question. So, project takes their interest into account. We said that. Risk and potential conflicts, relationships can be built. Yep, we said all these things. Oh, the one that I really want to mention from here, ownership. Isn't it beautiful when you release software and the business users themselves feel like they own it? They like it, they enjoy it, they like working with it, they give you feedback. So a sense of ownership is really important. Now, let's talk about what is just enough. How many of you here, with a raise of hand, tell me that you believe that in order for you to be an effective BA, you should be an expert in the area of the project that you're working in? Because if you don't have the right SMEs, you may need to write requirements yourself, right? You may need to answer questions. So tell me about the camp that believes that a BA needs to be a subject matter expert in the area. I'm not talking about just some knowledge, I'm saying subject matter expert, like one of the SMEs. Go ahead and let me know. Oh, come on, it can't just be zero. We always have this debate. Okay, what about, raise of hand if you believe that a BA should have some level of understanding of the business area.